In this video, I am going to tell you the different pain pathways that are carrying the pain sensation from the periphery to the central nervous system. Hey everyone, welcome back to HM Learnings. I am Harshita, the creator of HM Learnings, where students come to clear their concept and to get the study material. Make sure that you have subscribed my channel. You can also follow HM Learnings on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. We have also started uploading all our slides on website SlideShare, so you can easily download and clip our slides from that website. So we are going to talk in this video about the pain pathways. So when I started making this video, I thought that I would discuss about the pain perception as well, but when I started referring multiple books for the pain pathways, I found so many information is there. So I decided to integrate all those information in a one video that is exclusively on the pain pathways. So at the end of this video, you should be able to answer two questions, that is why, or you can say first of all, what are the different pain pathways, what are the pathways which are involved in the pain transmission. Secondly, why the pain is requiring so many pathways, why not only the single pathway is sufficient to carry the pain sensation just like the other somatosensory sensations. So with this, we are going to start this video, so you should be able to answer these two questions at the end of this video. So if you watched the previous video on the pain physiology, we have talked about the what is pain, the different types of the pain, the receptors of the pain and the transduction. So it is the carry forward of that video. So if you haven't watched that previous video, please go and watch it. So here we are talking about that we know that at the receptors are basically at the peripheral ends, and they are going to transduce the pain sensation into the action potential, and now this action potential is going to propagate through the help of this primary efferents towards this dorsal horn of the spinal cord. So there are two fibers, A delta and the C fibers, and in this diagram what is very important to understand is that we have different laminas in the spinal cord, that is there are different layers in the spinal cord, and what is the functional significance of these layers is that they are going to segregate the termination of the different modalities. Okay, so like if the modality is a pain, so in that case, which lamina is going to receive the efferents which are coming from the pain receptors, or the pain efferents is going to terminate in which lamina of the spinal cord. Similarly, if the modality is touch, so in that case, touch is going to which lamina of the spinal cord, it will be decided. So by that, there is a functional segregation maintained in the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. So here you can see that the laminas which are involved are lamina 1 and 2 basically. Lamina 1 is also called as a marginal layer. So you can see that the A delta fiber is going to terminate on the lamina 1, as well as it is sending one collateral to lamina 2, and as well as sending one collateral to the lamina 5th. Lamina 1 and lamina 5th neurons, they are forming the projection neurons, whereas lamina 2 basically consists of the interneurons, and the significance of these interneurons we are going to talk when we are talking about the modulation of the pain. So you have to remember that the lamina 2, which is also called as a substantia genitalosa, that is having the interneurons which could excitatory, which could be inhibitory as well. So now the C fibers, you can see they are terminating on lamina 1 and lamina 2. So basically you can see here that lamina 1 and lamina 2 are the areas where the efferents which are coming from the pain receptors are primarily terminating. What is the role of lamina 5th is that lamina 5th is also getting the inputs, you can say the dendrites of this pyramidal of this projection neuron is also getting the impulse from the A beta. So lamina 5th is getting the impulse from the pain, as well as the sensory inputs are also coming. So it is basically having the information about the multiple modalities, and it is also getting the impulse from the visceral receptors. So lamina 5th basically forms a basis of referred pain. So with this, we are moving towards this next slide, which is about what are the neurotransmitters which are involved in the synaptic transmission. So basically the major neurotransmitter which is involved is the glutamate, and apart from that, There are other neuropeptides also, like the substance P, CGRP, ghrelin. These are also involved, and these are basically the core transmitters. So glutamate is going to release always, and neurotransmitters will release when the stimulation, the noxious stimulation is prolonged, it is continuous, and it is more intense. So it is going to do what? It is actually going to prolong the depolarization which is caused by the glutamate in order to sensitize the neuron. So if you watch the video on the hyperalgesia, so in that video I have discussed about the central sensitization, the peripheral sensitization. So if you watch that video, you are able to understand that what is the role of the neuropeptides. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. Now we are coming to the pain pathways. So we have the receptor, then their efferents. Their cell bodies are present in the dorsal root ganglion, then they are terminating in lamina 1 and lamina 2 of the dorsal horn of the spinal cord. And now from here, how the pain is transmitted by the different pathways to the brain. Okay, so basically the Candle mentioned 5 pathways: spinothalamic pathway, spinoreticcular pathway, spinomesencephalic pathway, cervicothalamic pathway, and spinal hypothalamic pathway. So these 5 pathways are the different pathways which are carrying the pain sensation. Now you have to remember, like in this diagram we can understand what is first degree neuron, what is second degree neuron, because I haven't made the video on that. So from this diagram you can understand. So this diagram is basically showing the 3 pathways: spinothalamic, spinoreticular, and spinomesencephalic. So first let's talk about the spinothalamic. So these are the different levels: spinal cord, medulla, pons, and finally we have the cerebral cortex. So from, you can see here, this part is already covered. यहाँ पे कहीं receptor होगा, from the receptor the efferent is coming and they are terminating. This will be the first order neuron which is terminating on the second order neuron in the lamina 1 and from there, because lamina 1 is contributing to the projection neuron will start and they are going to cross the midline. They are going to cross the grey matter, around the central canal and will enter to the opposite side of the spinal cord. That is, they are desiccating to the opposite side by crossing the midline, and then they will ascend upward in the lateral column of the spinal cord. So that's why we said that the most prominent pathway of pain transmission which you can't afford to forget is the spinothalamic pathway, and in that too you have to mention that it is going to propagate to the lateral column of the spinal cord. That's what is also called as a lateral spinothalamic tract. Okay, so from the lateral column you can see, then it is passing through the medulla and through the pons, and then it is going to terminate in the thalamic nuclei. So ventral posterior lateral is a predominant nuclei of the thalamus where it is going to terminate, and from there the third order neuron will start and go to the cortex. So here is a first order neuron, then a second order neuron which is crossing the midline at the level of the spinal cord, then ascending upward, then it is going to terminate in the thalamus. The third order neuron will start from the thalamus and go to the cerebral cortex. Okay, similarly here, but here you have to understand it is a spinothalamic. So it is going from the spinal cord to the thalamus. Here you can see it is spinoreticular. So it is going to one of the collateral is going from the spinal cord to the reticular formation of the medulla as well as the reticular formation of the pons. And it is going to thalamus as well, but predominantly it is going to the reticular formation of pons and medulla. Here spinomesencephalic, it is going from the spinal cord, the second order neuron. Okay, the second order neuron is going from the spinal cord to the mesencephalic area, that is the periaqueductal grey matter present in the midbrain, as well as to the reticular formation in the midbrain and the superior colliculus. It also goes to the parabrachial nucleus. So these are the different pathways, and why the different pathways are required. You can say spinothalamic pathway is one pathway, spinoreticular pathway is one pathway, spinomesencephalic pathway, cervicothalamic pathway, and spinohypothalamic pathway. So we can understand this by the help of another diagram. Okay, yeah, this diagram. So basically we have to remember that pain is not a simple perception. It is not a simple sensation. It's a complex sensation which requires a complex perception. And whenever the brain wants to do something complex, it is going to involve the multiple areas of the brain. Okay, so why the pain is requiring different pathways? The simple answer is that because pain is a complex perception, it requires a complex perception, and that's why, so that the second order neuron, they can terminate at the different regions of the brain. That's why we require the different pathways of the pain, so that the different areas, they can work together to have a corporative network in order to perceive the pain. So in this, there are two aspects which are shown. The sensory discriminative. So what is sensory discriminative aspect of the pain? When I want to perceive the pain in terms of what is the location of the pain, what is the intensity of the pain, and how long the pain stimulus is applied on my skin. So for that, what is the pathway? The pathway is that the second order neuron will start from the spinal cord, dissecate to the opposite side in the spinal cord, will go to the ventral posterior lateral nucleus of the thalamus, and from there it will go to the somatosensory cortex. That is going to tell me the intensity, the duration, and the location of the pain, all the discriminative aspects of the pain. The second aspect of the pain is the effective motivational. So you must know what is effective motivational. With pain, you have so many other factors associated. You have emotional component as well. So if you are emotional at some time, if you are already failed in the exam, or at that time if you get any injury, you will feel more pain. So how that happens? Or when you are feeling pain or when you are injured, your heart rate increases, your hormone, you have an activation of the sympathetic nervous system, you have a release of cortisol, you have release of the stress hormone. So how that is going to happen? So for that, how it will happen? Simple thinking is that because the efferents are not only going to the somatosensory cortex, but that efferents are going to those regions of the brain as well that are integrating these information, or that are influencing these functions. So here you can see that it is going to the reticular formation, that is a spino-reticular tract. It is going to the periaqueductal gray as well as to the superior colliculus, that is the spino-mesencephalic pathway. It is also going to the parabrachial nucleus, that is again the parabrachial nucleus is also considered in the spino-mesencephalic tract only. It is also going to the spinothalamic. Spinothalamic is also this is also spinothalamic, and the spinohypothalamic. Okay, cervicothalamic is from the cervical region to the thalamus. That's not shown here. So now you can understand that in response to pain, you have an awake response. Okay, if you have a pain, you tend to not sleep. That is because the pain efferents are going to reticular areas also. Then periaqueductal gray is involved in the modulation of the pain. So you have to remember this for the modulation. Okay, then hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the center for the autonomic nervous system as well as neuroendocrine responses. So in response, that how your heart rate is going to increase when you are injured. So that is going to explain how your cortisol level is increased. That is again the explanation because you have spinohypothalamic tract. Parabrachial nucleus is going to be related to the amygdala. So emotional component. You are feeling emotional when you are in the pain, or when you are emotional, you are feeling more pain. Okay, and this all is going to this anterior cingulate cortex is insula. So insula is associated again with your internal state of the body. It is going to regulate the autonomic responses with respect to the pain. And anterior cingulate cortex is basically a part of the limbic area, so emotional. Okay, so by this, I hope that by this diagram, I hope you have understood that why the pain is requiring multiple pathways. What are the different pathways of the pain, and why the pain is requiring the multiple pathways. Spinothalamic is for the discriminative, it is for the wakefulness, it is for the amygdala, emotional input, it is taking the sensation from the cervical area. Spinal hypothalamic is for the autonomic and the neuroendocrine responses to the pain. And then from here you have to remember subthalamic nuclei. that lateral group of nuclei and the medial group of nuclei. So this includes ventral-posterior medial nucleus ventral. So this you have to remember, nothing to explain, receive inputs from spinothalamic tract and they are responsible for the precise location of the injury. Central lateral nucleus, interlaminar nucleus, and they are responsible for the noxious stimuli. Okay, so in the coming video I'm going to talk about the pain perception, and that video is going to start from this diagram only, because this is forming the basic what we are going to discuss in the next video, that is a pain perception, that is a pain matrix. So the pain matrix is actually a new concept, so we are going to discuss that and we are going to start from this. So please watch this video if you if you haven't have a clarity, and subscribe to our channel to get the notification of the upcoming video. So if you like this video, please like, share and comment. Let me know your suggestions and your doubts in the comment section, and you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, as well as you can download our slides from the SlideShare. Till then, keep learning.